Michael didn't know that June 30th would be the last day his life made sense. He was a digital sales specialist for IBM, a blue chipper. He moved his entire family from Chicago to a house in Louisville because IBM told him Coppell, Texas, was the future. They had just poured $12 million into a 143,000 square foot innovation studio, fresh carpet, new server racks, the smell of permanence, no warning, no meeting, no conversation, just a system update that quietly decided he no longer belonged inside the building he'd uprooted his life for. While Governor Greg Abbott tours the state selling the Texas Miracle and 15 million new jobs, something colder is happening in North Texas. Not a recession, not a crash, a silent digital culling executed behind login screens and HR euphemisms. This wasn't 59 random layoffs. It was a resource action, a calculation, an algorithm trained to rank human beings by cost, not contribution. And when the numbers settled, Michael and everyone around him were marked obsolete. And here's the part no one wants to explain. The governor knows this is happening, and he isn't saying a word. To understand the scream, we first have to look at the architecture of the lie. In 2020, while the rest of the world was retreating, IBM was building a cathedral. They hired Gensler, the most elite architectural firm on the planet, to transform a massive shell at 1177 South Beltline Road. Imagine the high-stakes conversations in those glass-walled boardrooms. This isn't an office, the executives would say. It's a hub for the digital sales elite, a showcase of IBM's commitment to the North Texas Tech Corridor. The workers believed it. They signed 30-year mortgages in Coppell and Louisville. They built lives around those IBM paychecks because they thought they were tethered to a titan founded in 1911. You don't get that big without being stable, right? But the records tell a different story. And to look at the concrete scale of what was built just to be abandoned is to see the data the system is already trying to delete. Subscribe if you're staying for the truth. $12 million, the verified renovation cost. $143,000, the total square footage of the studio. 111. The years IBM had been in business before they decided Coppell was a mistake. 3 years, the total lifespan of the facility before it became a ghost lab. 59. The number of human lives listed on the June 30th Warren Notice. 40%. The average pay cut these workers are taking just to survive in the new gig economy. Why would a company with a stock price outperforming Microsoft, Meta, and even Nvidia walk away from a $12 million investment? It wasn't because of financial distress. It was because of a decision made in May 2025. CEO Arvind Krishna didn't call it a layoff. He called it repositioning. He defended the move by saying AI would allow the company to do more with fewer people. In corporate speak, repositioning means deleting. The innovation studio wasn't closed because it failed. It was closed because a piece of software became cheaper than a human heartbeat. The workers in Coppell weren't competing with other companies. They were competing with the very algorithms they were hired to train. Take Jennifer, 34 years old. She actually relocated to Coppell from Austin because she wanted a shorter commute than the gridlock at the Austin domain. When the resource action hit, IBM gave her a choice that wasn't a choice. Move back to Austin, the city she just escaped, or be terminated. She looked at the numbers. Austin rent had doubled. The move would wipe out her savings. She realized the relocation offer wasn't a lifeline. It was an ultimatum designed to make her quit. She declined. Today she is moving her furniture into her parents' garage in Houston. Her permanent tech career lasted exactly 730 days. But look at the map. The IBM building isn't the only ghost. If you drive through North Texas, you'll see a growing archipelago of empty parking lots. FedEx, shutting down its Coppell supply chain facility, 856 jobs gone. Texas Instruments, 163 workers let go on December 12th. Tesla and Intel, wiping out thousands of roles in Austin in the same cycle. 10,000, the estimated number of tech-related jobs that have vanished from the region in 12 months. The history people call this a market correction. The ghost people know the truth. These buildings are monuments to a workforce that is being systematically erased. December 15th, Governor Abbott stands at a podium in Austin, beaming. He's celebrating Southwest Airlines and 2,000 new jobs. He tells the cameras, "We are the home of more economic opportunity than any other state." But he doesn't mention Michael. He doesn't mention Jennifer. He doesn't mention that for every job he creates in a press release, 5 tech workers are being quietly offshored. He can't acknowledge Coppell because acknowledging Coppell means admitting that the companies he lured to Texas have no loyalty to Texans. They came for the tax breaks, and they're leaving for the AI. So what remains of the $12 million studio? Empty silence. The high-tech desks are still there. The innovation branding is still on the walls. Michael is now working contract IT for 40% less pay. David, who actually accepted the move to Austin, was laid off 3 months after he arrived. He's now stuck in an apartment he can't afford. While the narrative focuses on the 59 individuals at IBM, the true scale of the North Texas bloodletting is hidden in the state filings. Let's look at the documentary real data. 856, the total number of jobs deleted in Coppell alone by FedEx this year. 163, the number of families at Texas Instruments DFABI site who saw their paychecks stop on December 12th. $60 billion. The total investment Texas Instruments is pouring into massive megasites in Sherman and Richardson, even as they trim their legacy North Texas workforce. $40 million. The cost IBM is paying right now to renovate its new 320,000 square foot tower in the Austin domain. $280,000. The square footage of the FedEx hub at 840 West Sandy Lake Road that will be a ghost facility by April 29th, 2026. 60,000. The number of future jobs promised by these corporations to secure state tax breaks, even as they clinically execute current resource actions. So why is the governor silent? To understand the silence, you have to understand the math of the Texas miracle. If Governor Abbott acknowledges that IBM walked away from a $12 million commitment in Coppell, he has to acknowledge that the miracle is conditional. He can't tell the history people that the tax breaks are permanent, but the jobs are temporary. He can't tell the ghost people that the eerie silence in those 143,000 square feet isn't a curse. It's a business model. The governor isn't saying a word because the truth is too terrifying for a press release. In the new Texas economy, the corporation isn't moving for the talent. It's moving for the machine. Michael is still out there looking at a badge that doesn't work and a system that has forgotten his name. The innovation studio at South Beltline Road sits dark. It's fresh carpet and new server racks waiting for a tenant that may never come. The miracle didn't fail. It just wasn't designed for Michael. And as the lights continue to flicker out across the North Texas Tech Corridor, you have to ask yourself, is your badge still working? Or are you just next in the algorithm? The official blueprints suggest a standard utility hub, a logical expansion for a growing city, but the geometry of these ruins betrays a much darker intent. We're not looking at a failed municipal project. We're looking at a structural anomaly. Vaulted ceilings reinforced with lead-lined plating and oxygen scrubbers that could support 10,000 people? Yet the census says this land was vacant. Every hollowed-out corridor screams of a hidden expenditure wiped from the public ledger. A billion-dollar ghost project that legally doesn't exist. What's more disturbing isn't that it was built, but the surgical precision with which it was erased. We found localized suppression zones where archival satellite imagery appears smeared, as if the coordinates themselves were redacted from reality. In the basement levels we found rows of empty lockers still labeled with names that appear in no government database, names of people who, according to every record, were never born. Why the silence from the governor's mansion? Because the truth is too terrifying for a campaign poster. The Texas miracle is succeeding for the shareholders by eliminating the humans. The lights at 1177 South Belt Line Road didn't go out by mistake. They were turned off on purpose. And if you think your badge is still going to work tomorrow morning, you might want to look at what happened in Coppell. The system has already decided who stays. Hit subscribe before your own badge stops working.